Okay. So we come to chapter 8, Akshara Brahma Yoga and attaining the Supreme. So till now we learned about two different kinds of yoga. What all yogas are there? What all yogas are there according to you? You know that?
Karma yoga, jnana yoga, dhyana yoga,
Karma
Yes.
yoga, karma
Yes,
sannyas,
yes,
bhakti
yes,
yoga.
yes. Very good. And Bhakti Yoga, what is the topmost yoga according to Krishna?
Bhakti
Bhakti
yoga.
Bhakti Yoga. So Akshara. Akshara here means what? Indestructible, imperishable. So as this chapter deals with imperishable or absolute nature of God, and the Pranava mantra Om, which symbolizes it, it is entitled as Akshara Brahma Yoga. So in this chapter, Arjuna is going to ask questions to Krishna. He says, if we remember God at the time of death, we can definitely attain him. Therefore, along whatever activities we are doing every day, we must always practice thinking of God. And we can do this how? We can do this by thinking about his qualities, his attributes, his virtues, and all that, right? Then we are going to see the material world versus spiritual world. And we are also going to see that through exclusive devotion or bhakti, when our mind is completely surrendered to Krishna, we just reach Krishna's abode. So towards the end of 7th chapter, what did Lord Krishna say? Sadhi bhutadi devam mam sadhi yagyam cha ye vidu prayana kale picha mam te viduryukta chetasaha. So he mentioned few words like, Brahman, Adi Bhuta, Adi Deva, Adhyatma, Adi Yajna. So now let's see what Arjuna is going to ask here. Arjuna uvacha kim tat brahma kim adhyatmam kim karma purushottama adibhutam cha kim proktam adidevam cha kim uchyate. Yes, Ashwari Mataji, Hare Krishna.
Arjuna inquired, O my Lord, O Supreme Person, what is Brahman? What is the self? What are the fruit of activities? What is this material manifestation? And what are the demigods? Please explain this.
Adiyajna katham kotra dehesmin madhusudana prayana kale cha katham jneyosi niyatatmabhihi.
How does this Lord of sacrifice live in the body, and in which part does he live, O Madhusudana? And how can those engaged in devotional service know you at that time of death? Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So chapter 8 is opening with Lord Arjuna asking the Lord. He's addressing Lord as Purushottama, Purushottama, supreme person, right? So he is not putting questions to just simply a friend or anybody like that, but he is putting the questions to supreme person, knowing that he is the supreme authority to give all the definitive answers. So what is Arjuna doing here? He is asking 7 questions in 2 shlokas, shloka number 1 and 2. And after this, the 7 questions are answered by Lord Krishna, in rest of the 26 shlokas thereafter. So in these 2 verses, what he is putting, he is asking Krishna, what is Brahman, Krishna? What is Adhyatma? What is Karma? What is Adi Bhuta? And who is Adi Deva? Who is Adi Yajna in the body? And 7th question he's asking regarding the remembering God at the time of death. So Lord Krishna himself had introduced all this in chapter 7, end of chapter 7. So now naturally Arjuna wants him to elaborate it. The Lord of sacrifice usually is either referred to Indra or Vishnu, right? Lord Vishnu. But both Indra and Vishnu are worshipped by yajna performances. But here Arjuna is asking, who is actually the Lord of yajnas and how the Lord is residing within the body of every living entity? So here Arjuna addressed him as next shloka. He addressed him with Madhusudana. Madhusudana because Krishna had once killed the demon named Madhu. So Prayana Kali, here you can see that Prayana Kali cha katham. That's very, very significant word because whatever we do in life, it will be tested at the time of death. Whatever spiritual path you may take. So Arjuna is very anxious to know. He says those who are constantly engaged in Krishna consciousness, what will be their position at the time of final death? What will happen? Usually at the time of death, what happens? Body doesn't function. Bodily functions are all disrupted. Mind is also not in a good position. And so naturally, if you're disturbed in that, how will anybody remember the Lord, right? Maharaj Kuleshekara, he used to, he was a great devotee. He prayed to God, God, right now, my mind is undisturbed. Right now, if I die immediately, I can at least think of you, because I can do I'm doing all my devotional service right now. It will be perfect. But if I have to wait for my natural death, then I don't even know what will happen, because at the time of death, bodily functions may not work. My throat may get choked up to even take your name. I do not even know whether I'll be able to chant your name. Better let me die immediately. So Arjuna questions, how can the mind, person fix his mind on Krishna's lotus feet at the time, such a time? So Lord Krishna is going to answer in the next 26 shlokas, but we need to understand some of the important points, words that Arjuna had asked. Okay, so let's see what these words are. Brahman, it's the Jiva, indestructible living entity. Juma Mataji, would you like to read all that?
Yes, Mataji. Brahman, spirit, Jiva, indestructible living entity. Adhyatma, controller of the body, nature of Jiva, self. Karma, work, fruitive activities, leading to material body. Adhibhuta, material manifestation, material nature. Adhidaiva, supreme demigod, universal form which includes all demigods. Adhiyajna, the enjoyer of sacrifice. Paramatma, where does Adhiyajna reside? In the heart of all. How to remember Krishna at the time of death? Practice to remember him throughout life. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So Brahman here has been told that it's Jiva, the soul, indestructible living entity. We have to understand that. Adhyatma, that the nature of the Jiva, it's spiritual in nature as such. Karma means the fruitive activities, the actions where we do, right? And Adibhuta is the material nature. And then Adidaiva is the supreme God, like the universal form of God, which includes all the devatas and the different planets. Adiyajna is the enjoyer of the sacrifice, the Paramatma, who is present in the body along with individual soul and is the super soul. So where does this Adiyajna or the Paramatma reside? The super soul resides in all the hearts. And how to remember Lord at the time of death? We have to practice. Like Chapter 6, we remember what Lord Krishna said. He said, Asam chayam mahabhavo manodur nigraham chalam abhyasena tu kaunteya vairagyena cha grihete. So we have to do abhyasa, practice. So let's see what he has to say. Yes, Pradipta, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Mataji. The Supreme Lord said, the indestructible, transcendental living entity is called Brahman, and his eternal nature is called the Self. Action pertaining to the development of these material bodies is called karma or fruitive activities. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So in material nature, what happens? We can take body out of any 84 lakh species. We can take any body. But in spiritual nature, we have only one body, right? In material nature, according to our karma, sometimes we may appear in human form, sometimes in form of animals, deities, birds, we don't know. Depends on our karma, right? And with the desire to attain the heaven and to enjoy the heavenly pleasures, sometimes, a human entity, they perform yajnas. And when his good deeds finish or it diminishes, it comes down, the merit is over, he again comes back to the earth in human forms. That is karma. But a Krishna conscious person who is always in Krishna consciousness, he stays away from all these yajnas. He directly does devotional service, assumes Krishna consciousness, and he prepares to return to the Lord. Yes, please. Sonali Mataji, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Physical nature is known to be endlessly mutable. Universe is the cosmic form of the Supreme Lord, and I am that Lord, represented as the Super Soul, dwelling in the hearts of every embodied being.
So example, you can see as in the picture, is that of a caterpillar, which thinks of becoming a butterfly. And in the same life, it turns into a butterfly. So on seeing this, it gives us hope. What is the hope? The hope that similar to caterpillar, if we also constantly think of Krishna, it is certain that by the end of this life, we will have the same physical constitution qualitatively as Krishna, not quantitative, qualitatively. But if we can continuously think of Krishna by chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, what will happen? It will purify us. And at the end of our life, we'll be transferred to the kingdom of God. So the best question is how to attain Krishna at the time of death. So now why is Arjuna asking this question? It is because we all know our manufacturing date, but no one knows the expiry date. We know when we were born. If you ask you, when is your birthday, you will tell. But no one knows when it is time to go. So what should we do? So it's always best to remember Krishna and never forget him. Antakale cha mameva smaran mukha kalevaram yah prayati samadbhavam yati nastyatra samshayah.
And whoever at the time of death quits his body, remembering me alone, at once attains my nature. Of this there is no doubt. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So in this verse, what is the importance? The importance of Krishna consciousness is stressed. Who is the person lying in the picture? Who is that person?
Bhishma Deva.
Bhishma Deva. And what is he doing?
He's waiting for the right time to leave his body, Mataji.
Yeah, so he was waiting for Uttarayanam. Very nice, excellent. So Bhishma Deva had a boon, right? Anyone knows?
Is that he can choose his time.
Excellent, yes. Ichha Mrityu. He could choose his time of death. Exactly, perfect answer. So he was waiting. He was waiting. He could leave his body whenever he would choose to do so. So if you leave the body while remembering Krishna, you will attain his loka, right? You will attain Krishna. So he was waiting for Krishna to come. What was he chanting while he was waiting?
Vishnu Sahasranam.
Yeah. Do you know a line of it?
Vishwam Vishnurva Shastkaro Bhuta Bhavya Bhavat Prabhu Bhuta Krutbhuta Brudbhavo Bhutatma Bhuta Bhavanaha.
Excellent. Very nice. And also Lord Shiva tells Parvati that, Sahasranam of Vishnu, which is in this shloka, Shri Rama Rama Rameti Rame Rame Manorame Sahasranama Tattulyam Rama Nama Varanane. Lord Shiva tells Parvati Devi that Sahasranam of Vishnu is equal to one name of Rama and 3 names of Rama, or the Vishnu Sahasranama. 3 times if you chant Vishnu Sahasranama is equal to one name of Krishna. So you can imagine, right? How strong, how powerful this mantra is. So word smaran. Smaran means remembering. It's very important because without remembering Krishna, it is not possible for any kind of impure soul who has not practiced Krishna consciousness and devotional service to attain his loka, right? We cannot. So it's very, very important that we chant the Maha Mantra all the time. Like, for example, if you have to finish you're working and you're finishing a project, or you're even in a uni also, if you have to finish a project, you have to prepare your project beforehand, right? Not last minute. So in the similar way, we must chant the name of God from now and not wait till the last moment, right? So once what happened, let's see the question here. Yeah, one is thinking of Krishna at the time of leaving the body. He will
See.
in Krishna Loka. Very nice. Yes. So once, Yudhishthir, Yamraj once asked Maharaj Yudhishthir, let's see what he has asked. Amita Mataji, Hare Krishna. Okay. Aishwarya Mataji, Hare Krishna.
King Yudhishthira replied, hundreds and thousands of living entities meet death at every moment, but a foolish living being nonetheless thinks himself deathless and does not prepare for death. This is the most wonderful thing in this world. Hare Krishna.
This has been taken from Mahabharata Vanu Parva. Ahani ahani bhutani gachantiha yamalayam shesha sthavaram icchanti kim ashcharyam atah param. Srila Prabhupada explains in his Perpetuation, which was in Srimad Bhagavatam, 7th canto, this one. This has been taken from there. So what is the most wonderful thing? Yamraj asked Yudhishthira, what is the most wonderful thing in the world, within this world? So Yudhishthira Maharaj replied like this, everybody is meeting death, but they are still thinking that they are deathless and they are not preparing for death. That is the most wonderful thing about this world. So everyone has to die because everyone is fully under the control of Maya, material nature, but everyone thinks, okay, I'm independent. I can do whatever I like, and then I will never meet death. And if somebody dies, oh, he died. Oh my God. Yeah. Okay, fine. That's it. And you carry on. And that's what a wonderful thing, right? That we think that we'll never meet death and live forever. And these so-called scientists, according to Srila Prabhupada says in his purport that so-called scientists are making various plans in which, living entities in the future can live forever. But they are doing that research, and while doing that, pursuing such scientific knowledge, what will happen? Yamaraj in due course of time will come and will take them away from their business of whatever research they are doing. And that's what Srila Prabhupada is explaining. So we must be very careful and think of Krishna all the time. So how to think of Krishna at the time of death? Krishna says that at mental level, what we can do, Krishna says, think of me in form of Shyam Sundar Krishna and chant Hare Krishna. And at physical level, what we can do? We can carry out a prescribed duty, whatever job, whatever duty you are doing, you can do that, but dedicate it to Krishna. Krishna says, do whatever you can, but dedicate everything to me. At intellectual level, what we can do? Fix the mind and intelligence on Krishna. Krishna says, fix it on me. That's what Krishna says. Yam yam vapi smaran bhavam tyajatyante kalevaram tam tame vaiti kaunteya sada tat bhava bhavitaha. Yes, Chuma Mataji.
Whatever state of being one remembers when he quits his body, that state he will attain without fail. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So what Lord Krishna is saying over here is, whatever thoughts prominently it is dominating a person's mind at the time of death, that will determine his next birth. But of course, it's very difficult to attain God realization by meditating upon God at the time of death, right? Like if we are planning to go to some country, we plan it, right? Days ahead. We have to book our tickets, pack our bags, everything, right? We cannot start making plans after we have just packed the bag and okay, where to go now? We can't do that. We cannot just go to the airport, sit at the waiting place and say, okay, now let's plan where to go, what to do. You cannot, you have to plan the journey of life from now onwards itself and not wait till the flight has taken off, right? Not wait till it's time for us to go out from this material world. Maharaj Bharat, you know that although he was a great personality, what happened to him? We did it in previous chapter. He thought of the deer at the time of death. So in his next life, he was transferred into the body of a deer. So of course, he was a great soul, elevated soul, enlightened soul. So even though he was in the body of deer, he remembered his past activities that he had to accept the animal body. According to Skanda Puran, death is a very, thinking of God at the time of death is very, very difficult. Because, in this one life, present life, if one lives in the mode of goodness, always thinks of Krishna, then maybe it is possible to remember Krishna at the time of death, at the end of our life. So the takeaway is, while we are living this life right now, we are actually creating the next life. So we have to be very, very vigilant of what we are doing. You were thinking of a dog all the time.
You'll become dog in your next
You'll
life.
become dog in your next life.
Yes. Yes. So when to prepare for this now?
No.
What is the syllabus? Think of Krishna all the time, because death is a surprise test. You can't say, wait, don't take me. Just 1 more minute. Let me do something. No, it will just come, take you away. That's it. How to prepare? Chant, read Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavatam, Association of Devotees, devotional service, right? And then when? 24/7, 365 days. What is the result of that? You will be free from birth, death, old age, and disease and go to Krishna's loka. Think of me and continue doing your duty. Tasmat sarveshu kaleshu mam anusmara yudhyacha mayyar pitamano buddhihi mame vaishyasya samshaya. Yes, Pradipta Mataji.
Hare Krishna. Arjuna, you should always think of me in the form of Krishna and at the same time carry out your prescribed duty of fighting with your activities dedicated to me and your mind and intelligence fixed on me. You will attain me without doubt. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So what is Lord Krishna telling Arjuna? He says, do your duty with your body, okay? But keep your mind attached to me. So as a soldier, as a warrior, he is supposed to fight. He must fight. That is his duty. Lord Krishna says to Arjuna that even while you are doing that, you continuously remember God. Same message is for everyone, whether we are a housewife, teacher, educator, you are a student, farmer, engineer, doctor, whatever. We should not disregard the worldly. Normally what is happening is people disregard their worldly duties, their responsibilities actually. And they say, I cannot take a family responsibility because I have to lead a spiritual life. And some people, what they say, they will give an excuse that I'm so busy, daily life, 24/7, I have to work so much. I don't get time to practice spirit. I don't have time to practice spirituality. So in Mahabharata war, Arjun showed. He did that. He showed all of us through his example. He fulfilled his duty as a warrior. He fought very valiantly without any attachments to worldly gains. He followed Lord Krishna's instructions, and he kept his mind constantly attached and towards God. So at the end of the word, Lord Krishna told him, he declared that no, Arjuna has not accrued any bad karma. So if we remember God, we have to remember it constantly throughout the day and not like intermittent, right? So like this in picture, you can see a 5-year-old young Prahlad Maharaj, he was continuously, constantly remembering God. So we should not start thinking that, okay, when I become old, then only I will start. And sometimes many people, even if you start very young, many people, older people or friends may say, hey, what are you doing? What are you getting into? Let's go out, go and enjoy and all that. So let's see Lord Krishna in the next verse. He's stressing on the importance of remembering him. But how to remember him? How to reach Lord Krishna's abode? Abhyasa yoga yuktena chitasananya gamina paramam purusham divyam yati parthanu chintayan. Yes, Sonali Mataji.
He who meditates on the Supreme Personality of Godhead, his mind constantly engaged in remembering me, undeviated from the path. He, O Partha, is sure to reach me.
Hare Krishna. So how to reach Krishna's abode? Through practice. Abhyasa yoga yuktena. So now how can one achieve this? So Lord Krishna is saying, you must do regular practice. You can't do just once and then leave it. Regular practice is very much important. Nature of mind, everybody knows. It is flickering. It is running around. Mind is not staying in one place at all, right? It runs off here and there in different directions. So steady and regular practice. What will it do? It will prevent the mind into running from running towards different directions. So Lord Krishna says we have to train our mind for that and form a habit of always meditating upon God. It has to be done continuously as part of our daily routine, It should not be like today I've done, next Monday I will do again, not like that. So Lord Krishna has repeated this instruction so many times in Bhagavad Gita, right? He told Abhyasena to kaunteya vairagyena cha griyate in chapter 6, right? So Ajamila, you can see in the picture, who ultimately reached the abode, as you can see. Who was Ajamila? Let's see who was Ajamila. Ajamila was a young Brahmin. He was a very nice, compassionate, nice person. He used to live with his parents, young wife, chanted Lord's name all the time. But one day when he happened to go to the forest, he wanted to collect some fruits, flowers for that puja and all, deity worship. So he saw that there was a drunkard man who was shamelessly trying to, flirt around with a prostitute. He became immediately, as soon as he saw that woman, he immediately got attracted towards her. He knew it was not right, but even though he wanted to control his restless mind, but he could not get rid of her thought. So what happened? He was so much impelled by his desire that he fell from his pure lifestyle into those degraded habits. He became a cheat, a thief, a gambler. His heart turned cruel. He moved in with her. Because he moved in with her, he fell from his pure lifestyle. So this prostitute was with Ajamila, and she bore about 10 sons, and the youngest one was called Narayana. He was so attached to his son Narayana, he would thought of nothing. He would never think of anything else. Without Narayana, he was not thinking, Narayana, come, let's eat. Narayana, let's play. Narayana, all the time Narayana. He would not even eat or drink without, being with Narayana, without feeding Narayana. Slowly the years rolled on. Ajamila got old, and at the advanced age of 88, he was still he was unmindful that death is coming near, it's drawing near. So one night he was just half asleep. He saw the three dreadful, ferocious people approaching, holding ropes in their hands. So Ajamila immediately, oh my God, these are the Yamdutas. They are the servants of Yama, the Lord of Death. They have come to take me to Yamaloka. He was so terrified. He cried, Narayana, Narayana, come here, Narayana. He was calling out his son. But because he chanted the holy name of Narayana, even though in actuality he was calling his son, beautiful Vishnu Dutas came, the servants of Vishnu. They just, each one looked like Vishnu only, Lord Vishnu. They immediately approached and they approached the Yamdutas who were trying to drag the Brahmin's soul. He said, no, you cannot. We forbid you. You cannot take him to Yamaraja. The fierce looking Yamaduta said, why? But why? What happened? Why are you preventing us from taking this sinful man? He's a sinful person. Our master, Yamaraja, he will punish him for his sinful life. He left his parents, he left his wife, he's living with a prostitute, he deserves to be punished. So Vishnu Dutas replied, he said, no. He may be a sinner, yes, but since he has chanted Lord's powerful name at this time, even though he was calling out his son's name, but he comes under Lord Narayana's protection. So all his sins have been eradicated. Therefore, he has to be exempted from the punishment by Yamas. So after lot of discussion, Yamadutas reluctantly released Ajamila and they returned to their master, and they said, this is whatever embarrassing incident happened, they wanted to tell Yamraj. So he said, okay, because he was chanting the name of God and he was remembering God at the last moment, you should not. Only bring those who never take Lord's name, never ever take Lord's name, never once hear the stories of the Lord. So after hearing the conversation between Vishnu Dutas and Yamadutas, Ajamila immediately realized, he said, oh my God, I have been given a second chance. Fully aware of whatever mistakes he had done, he became a great devotee of Narayana. He performed all the spiritual activities, duties to, get rid of whatever material desires he had. Of course, few years later, as you can see in the picture, Vishnu Dutas returned on the swan aeroplane and escorted him to the spiritual realm. Kavim Puranam Anushasitaram Anoraniyam Samanusmaredyah Sarvasya Dhataram Achintya Rupam Aditya Varnam Tamasah Parastat. Yes, Amita Mataji, would you like to read?
One should meditate upon the Supreme Person as the one who knows everything, as he who is the oldest, who is the controller, who is smaller than the smallest, who is the maintainer of everything, who is beyond all material conception, who is inconceivable, and who is always a person. He is luminous like the sun, and being transcendental is beyond this material nature.
Hare Krishna. Please mute yourself whenever you're not reading. Hare Krishna. So we can meditate upon God in many, many ways, right? We can take his name, we can think about his forms, we can read his pastimes, associates, abodes of God. There is no difference among all these aspects of God, right? We can meditate on any one or all of them. So in this verse, what Lord Krishna is mentioning is his 8 divine aspects. Let's see that. Kavim Purana, he says, so he is the one who knows the past, the present, and the future. He knows everything. Puranam means what? He is the oldest personality because he is the origin of everything. Everything is born out of him. Anushasitaram. Anushasan means discipline, right? So he is the supreme controller of the universe. He is the maintainer. He is the instructor of the humanity. Anoraniyam. He is smaller than the smallest. His living entity is 1,000 part, 10,000 part of the tip of the hair, right? But the Lord is inconceivably small. He enters into the heart of this particle. So he is called smaller than the smallest. Anoraniyam. He can enter into anything, right? And into the heart of the smallest and control him as the super soul. Sarvasya Dhataram means although he's very small, he's all pervading, he's maintaining everything, right? Achintya Rupa. Achintya Rupa is, you cannot even imagine. It's inconceivable. God's energy is beyond our imagination, beyond our thinking jurisdiction. That is why it's called inconceivable, Achintya. All the planetary systems are over there. We wonder how these planets are floating in the air. So it is stated over here that Supreme Lord, by his inconceivable energy, he is the one who is sustaining all these big planets in the system of galaxy. Then Aditya Varnam. Aditya is one of the names of the sun god. So here God is said to be dazzling like the sun. His effulgence is so much. And tamas of Paristat here means how sun removes the darkness. As soon as sun is there, the darkness is gone, right? Similarly, Lord Krishna with his effulgence, he will completely eliminate our ignorance that we have. On a cloudy day, sun is not visible, but it does not mean that the sun is not there. That's the illusion we have, optical illusion. So sun is where it is. Similarly, Lord is there, but we cannot see him. So we may get the question like, why we worship Krishna in so many ways? Well, Krishna is very, very merciful. He's very, very kind. He has given us many choices. We have different choices and nature. We have different choices in nature according to our own samskaras, right? Tendencies from endless lifetimes. So like I try to give this example, like my friend and I, we go to a mobile store, for example, or we try to buy a mobile. So the chances of buying the same brand, same type, same color, same price, it's very rare, right? So we have our own individual choices when it comes to color preference, brand, maybe budget also, right? So it will be different. That is why the storekeeper will keep all kinds, all varieties in order to cater to our choices and preferences, right? So similarly, what happens, the Vedic scriptures also offer us various spiritual paths based on the level of sadhana, right? That we have performed in the past lives. We may choose a suitable path. But God, of course, it is the devotion, it is the bhakti that ties all these paths together in one common thread, right? Like even if I have to go to a sari store with my friend, she and I may not have the same, may want to buy the same kind of sari. We may want different color. I may want cotton, she may want silk, I may want maybe 1,000, she may want 10,000. So everything is different. So the shopkeeper will keep everything. Okay, silk, you go this section. Cotton, go to this section. And if you want something very, very expensive, go first floor, like that. So even scriptures have different, according to the level of sadhana, we may choose the suitable path. Attaining the Supreme, how, why, and what. How to attain the Supreme, why attain the Supreme, and what do they attain as a result. Let's see. So how to attain the Supreme, remembering Krishna through pure bhakti. Let's see that. Yes, please. Aishwarya Mataji.
For one who always remembers me without deviation, I am easy to obtain, O son of Pritha, because of this constant engagement in devotional service. Hare Krishna.
Ananya Cheta Satatam. So first time in Bhagavad Gita, you can see what is Lord Krishna saying. He says he's easy to attain. I am easy to obtain, he says, O son of Pritha. So, but to whom? Not to everyone, to only those yogis who are Ananya Cheta Satatam. So whose mind are completely absorbed exclusively in God. So Ananya means no other. They are not absorbed in anything else but God. So there is a precondition. Precondition for attaining God is what? Exclusive devotion. So you need to have exclusive devotion. Throughout Bhagavad Gita, you must have noticed Lord Krishna is always stressing upon exclusive devotion, surrender. He's all everywhere. In chapter 9, he says, Ananya Shintayanto Mam Yejana Paryupasate. Then he says, Tameva Sharanam Gacha Sarva Bhavena Bharata. Then he says, many places, Mam Ekam Sharanam Raja, he says 18.66. So many spiritual seekers, they love God and they try very hard to attain him. But their mind is also attached to these worldly things, to the family, friends. They want to have pets, they want house, they want assets. They want God also. They contemplate about God. They want to purify their mind. But when they go back to that worldly relations, it again gets dirty again, right? So the worldly, the attachments, the worldly attachments are not only binding us, it is imperfect also, right? So that creates impurity in the mind. Somebody is saying, somebody's gossiping, you are hearing, that goes in your mind. So it becomes impure, mind becomes impure. It's like, you take a dirty cloth, you apply soap, you clean it with pure water. So it becomes clean, right? Then you again put it in unclean water. What will happen? Again, it becomes dirty. So, right? All the effort goes futile. You have worked so hard to clean the cloth, it becomes dirty again. Elephant, it goes, it takes bath in the river, it cleans itself, then comes out and rolls in that mud again. What happens? It's getting unclean again, right? Similarly. So the ultimate aim of sadhana is what? It's to purify the mind. And it can only be done if we can attach the mind to God, who is all pure. So let's see why. Why should we attain the Supreme? Mamupetya punarjanma dukkhalayam ashashvatam napnuvanti mahatmanaha samsiddhim paramam gataha. Yes, please. Juma Mataji.
After attaining me, the great souls who are yogis in devotion never return to this temporary world, which is full of miseries, because they have attained the highest perfection. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Why attain the Supreme? Because Krishna says, this place is dukkhalayam ashashvatam. This is dukkhalayam, misery, full of misery, ashashvatam, temporary. This temporary material world is full of miseries of birth, old age, disease, death. Naturally, he who achieves the highest perfection, he will attain the Supreme planet, right? Krishna Loka, Goloka Vrindavan. That's what Lord Krishna explains over here. And he says, what happens when one attains the God? Once the soul is liberated and he goes there, he will never have to come back into this cycle of life and death. And the struggle starts from what happens? Struggle starts from right when we are inside a mother's womb, We are hanging upside down for 9 months. So we are going through that painful process of taking birth. Then we come into this world. Then we are crying and we are asking for milk. Nobody tries to understand. We are telling something because we cannot speak. So we are crying. And as we are growing, we have to learn to read, to write, to speak, to talk. We have to go through all this process. Then we go to teenage, mentally challenging phase. Nobody understands us during that time. Then as we grow as adults, pressure of getting married, then relationships, they test our endurance and patience. And then we have to accept, we have to adjust, we have to accommodate. Different individualities are there. We have to try to adjust with all the relations. We struggle to maintain the social responsibilities. We have to have social circle. Everything we are struggling. By the time we think, okay, good. Now things are under my control. Old age comes. And with the old age, we get the gift of sickness and we get the gift of diseases. So all through our life, what is happening? We are suffering from pain and miseries. And who is giving us that? By our own self, our own body, our own mind, people, circumstances, situations. And finally, when we die, it's again an extremely painful experience. So why God is putting us through this pain and misery? Our karma. It is our karma. In God's grand design, whatever blueprint he has made, the whole purpose of these miseries is to realize that this place is not permanent. It is like a correction home, like a prison, for the souls who have forgotten God and who have turned our back towards God. And we are trapped in this material world now. So we have to get away from here. So these sufferings, these miseries, when we go through all this, it helps us to go towards, Krishna's direction, desire for God. So an example can be given like a person who accidentally puts his hand in the hot boiling water. So what happens? He will remove his finger, right? Because it is painful and it's burning as well. And if you ask him to do the same thing again, will he do it? No. Similarly, the pain and the miseries that we experience in this material world, it is telling us, leave the dukkhalayam, leave it and go to Lord's abode. Okay, let's see what do they attain as a result. Abrahma bhuvana lokaha punaravartino arjuna mamupete tu kaunteya punarjanmana vidyate. Yes, Pradipta Mataji.
From the highest planet in the material world down to the lowest, all are places of misery, wherein repeated birth and death take place. One who attains to my abode, O son of Kunti, never takes birth again. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. According to Vedic scriptures, there are 14 worlds in our universe, 7 planes of existence beginning with earth and higher. Like we have, you can see in the picture, Bhuva, Bhu, Bhuva, Swaha, Maha, Jana, Tapa, Tapaloka, Satyaloka, right? The higher planets are called Swargaloka. So the remaining 7 planets, they are lower than earth. They are called hellish abodes, or you can call Naraklok. They are Atala, Vitala, Sutala, Talatala, Mahatala, Rasatala, and Patala. So these 14 planes of existence are called lokas, or various worlds of our universe. Satyaloka is also called Brahmaloka also, and Brahma is on highest among them. Patal Lok is the lowest. But all these 14 are still under the realm of Maya only, the material energy of God. So all the whoever is dwelling in these 14 lokas, they have to go through the cycle of birth and death, right? Because it is because of this impermanent nature. Lord Krishna in his previous said, right? Dukkhalayam ashashvatam. It is dukkhalayam, it is ashashvatam, temporary, and it is dukkhalayam, full of misery. So whoever is born in these lokas, they are subject to death someday. As persons on earth, they are elevated to higher planets. People on higher planets such as Brahmaloka, Chandraloka, Indraloka, they will fall down onto the earth once their pious credits are over. So we have to remember to take the name of God at all the time. Yes, please, Sonali Mataji, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. When Brahma day is manifest, this multitude of living entities come into being, and at the arrival of Brahma's night, they are all annihilated.
By human calculation,
1,000 ages taken together is the duration of Brahma's one day, and such also is the duration of his night.
And when Brahma's day is manifest?
When Brahma's day is manifest, this multitude of living entities come into being, and at the arrival of Brahma night, they are all annihilated.
Hare Krishna. So human calculation, 1,000 ages together. It is the duration of Brahma's one day. 1,000 Mahayugas is Brahma's one day. So you can imagine 4 yugas is one Mahayuga, and 1,000 Mahayugas is Brahma's one day. So like that, 1 Mahayuga is 4.32 million years. You can check from the PDF also, you can see. In material universe, what happens? Not even Brahma is free from the, Lord Brahma is free from the cycle of birth, death, old age and disease, right? So Lord Brahma, however, he is directly serving the Lord. So he's managing the whole universe. So he will attain a liberation if he is there. It's serving he's always at the Lord's service. So elevated sannyasis, they are promoted to Lord Brahma's particular planet, right? Brahmaloka. which is the highest planet in this material universe. And then it survives all the heavenly planets in the upper strata. But what happens in due course of time? What happens? Brahma, all the lokas, they are subject to death according to the laws of material nature. And those who take to Krishna consciousness, they use, they are completely in devotional service of the Lord. They are chanting Mahamantra. They are transferred even in this life to the spiritual planet, and they are eternally blissful over there, and they are not subject to any kind of rebirths. How many Mahayugas constitute daytime of Brahma?
1,000 Mahayugas.
Yes, 1,000 Mahayugas. Very nice. भूतग्रामस एवायं भूत्वा भूत्वा प्रलीयते रात्र्यागमे वशः पार्थ प्रभवत्यः रागमे. Why is it temporary? Let's see. Amita Mataji, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Again and again the day comes and his host of beings is active, and again the night falls, O Partha, and they are helplessly dissolved. Hare Krishna.
So whoever is less intelligent, who want to remain in this material world, they may be elevated to higher planets, but again, they may have to come down to this planet again, right? So during the daytime of Brahma, what happens? They can do their activities on higher planets, lower planets, wherever within this material world. They can do everything. They are doing all their activities, right? But as soon as it is Brahma's night, everyone is annihilated. So ultimately, when Brahma's life is also finished, everything is annihilated, then what happens? It remains unmanifested for millions and millions of years. It is just frozen, you can see. And when Brahma is born again in another millennium, then again everything manifests. So in this way, they are all captivated by the spell of this whole material world. All the living entities, they're frozen at the end of the day. And they thaw, means melt, right? In thaw means like from the freezer, when you take it out, you thaw it. So they thaw in the beginning of the day of Brahma. This goes on, the cycle goes on. But those who are intelligent, who take to Krishna consciousness, they use their human life, this present life, in devotional service of the Lord by chanting Lord's name. They don't want to be in this material realm. They want to go to the spiritual planet of Lord Krishna and become eternally blissful over there, and they do not want to take birth again and again. What are the real problems we have seen? Birth, death, old age, and disease. These are the real problems. And this can only go away if we completely devote our time to at the lotus feet of Lord Krishna. Yes, Aishwarya Mataji, Hare Krishna.
Yet there is another nature which is external and is transcendental to this manifestation and unmanifested matter. It is supreme and is never annihilated. And all in this world is annihilated, and that part remains as it is.
This is his Hare Krishna. This is a spiritual world. He says, man, this spiritual energy is transcendental, it's eternal, it's beyond the changes of material nature. Everything, material nature also gets annihilated during the days and night of Brahma, but my part, it always stays there. This part remains forever, he says. This is the spiritual world of Krishna. What do they attain? Yes, Juma Mataji, Hare Krishna.
That which the Vedantis describe as unmanifest and infallible, that which is known as the supreme destination, that place from which have attained it, one never returns. That is my supreme abode. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. In Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna is giving small hint of his personal abode, Goloka Vrindavan. He's giving little bit. So, which is the supermost planet in the spiritual kingdom. So that abode is the ultimate destination. It is written in Katha Upanishad also, he says, Purushanna param kinchit sakashta parama gatihi. Means one who attains it, he will never return to this material world ever again. And beyond the Lord, there is nothing. That is the end. That is the final goal. That is where we are supposed to go. So that is what Lord Krishna says. We will attain his abode. This is the Goloka Vrindavan. This is you will get the whole chart will be given to you in the WhatsApp. Here, Lord Brahma Samhita, you can hear this. Goloka namni nijadhamni tale chatasya Devi Mahesha Haridama Sateshu Teshu Te Te Prabhava Nichaya Vitashchayena Govindam Adi Purusham Tam Aham Bhajami. So what is explained over here is in this that Golokadham, lowest is like the Devi Dham is there, then above that is Mahesha Dham, abode of Mahesha, and then Hari Dham, abode of Hari, and then above them is located Krishna's own realm, which is Goloka Vrindavan. And Lord Brahma says, I adore the primeval Lord Govinda, who has allotted their respective authorities, to the rulers of all those are there in graded realms. This is in Brahma Samhita. So you can see all the lokas. These are the 14 lokas, which is, material world, which will be completely gone. Vedeshu yajnesu tapassu chaiva daneshu yat punya palam pradishtam atyeti tat sarvam idam viditva yogi param sthanam upaiti divchadyam. Okay, Sonali Mataji, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. A person who accepts the path of devotional service is not bereft of the results derived from studying the Vedas, performing austere sacrifices, giving charity, or pursuing philosophical and fruitive activities. At the end, he reaches the supreme abode.
Hare Krishna. So
Hare Krishna.
you must have seen chapter 7 through 12. That's the essence of Bhagavad Gita. The first 6 chapters, the last 6 chapters, they are like coverings which for the middle 6 chapters, right? Which is specially protected by the Lord. So you can see this whenever you're eating this burger, if you eat the burger, which is the most important part, that is the actual provides you the taste. What is the main important part in this?
The middle part of it.
Yeah, the salad, the tomatoes, the cucumber and all that, right? So those 6 chapters, they are the essence. That's the essence of Bhagavad Gita. And the upper and the middle portion, the bread, and those are like coverings. So you can see that way. Even in the pearl, when you see the pearl, there is a covering. Pearl is always under it, right? Upper covering, lower covering, in between you will see the pearl. So the 7 to 12, that's the essence. So if we understand Bhagavad Gita, especially the middle 6 chapters in association of devotees, then that's really, we are fortunate. So Bhakti Yoga is the system which Gita recommends in above all other system, all other yogas. We can engage in Bhakti in 5 different ways. Like, you can be a Shanta Bhakta, you can be engaging in devotional service in neutrality. Then Dasya Bhakta is as you can engage in devotional service as a servant. Sakhya Bhakta, you can engage as a friend. Vatsalya Bhakta, like a parent. Madhurya Bhakta, like a conjugal lover of the Supreme Lord. In any of these ways, the pure devotee is always engaged in constantly thinking in the loving service of Lord Krishna. And that enables the devotee, to be able to get transferred to Lord's abode, where he is eternally happy all the time. So other yogis, what do? They wait for the auspicious time. If you are a great yogi, you can choose the time of your death, right? You can check for the auspicious time and then go away. But pure devotee, at the time of death, he doesn't have to see any time, because any time is auspicious for a pure devotee. That is the best part of being a pure devotee of Lord Krishna. Hare Krishna. So you please take a decision, start chanting, start taking the name of God. This Kali Yuga is nothing but Namasmaranam. You have to do the Namasmaranam of the Lord. You have to start chanting. Okay, that vow you have to take. So with this, we come to the end of chapter 8. Let's see what we have learned quickly. Arjuna had questions, right? And the best question was how to attain Krishna. And then we learned about death, the final exam, when to prepare. Now, what is the syllabus? Know about Krishna, because death is a surprise test. How to prepare? We have to be in the association of devotees, read Bhagavatam, Bhagavad Gita, chant, eat Krishna Prasadam, and then result will be freedom from Janma Mrityu Jara Vyadhi. Then attaining the Supreme. How to attain the Supreme? How to attain Krishna? Through Bhakti. And why to attain Supreme? Because we don't want to be living in this Dukkhalayam Ashashvatam. This is a very temporary material world full of miseries of old age, disease, and death. So naturally, we don't want to be over here, right? So if we do the bhakti, what will we attain? We will attain the highest perfection. We will attain the supreme planet, Krishna Loka, Goloka, Vrindavan. Then pure devotion is the best. Other yogis, they wait for auspicious time. Pure devotees, for them, any time is auspicious. And what is the Yuga Dharma now? It is, we need to practice Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Pancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhya evacha patitanam pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Thank you so much, devotees, and